That Don't Sound Right is a podcast about talking the way we did before the internet, when you could not prove anyone right or wrong.
All the expertise was contained in the people involved with the conversation. I'm Peter.
I'm Cecil, and I hope you enjoy our conversations. And as you listen, if you find yourself silently saying, that don't sound right, send us a comment. You're one of us.
I feel like it's probably the most Winston-Salem thing I've ever done, is an interview for a Texas Pete commercial.
Welcome back to another episode of That Don't Sound Right. This is a podcast about talking. This time it's a podcast about Texas Pete.
Texas Pete's one of my favorite subjects.
Right, so we're your co-hosts. My name's Peter.
I'm Cecil.
And we are going to talk about, not me, because I'm from Annapolis, but we're going to talk about Texas Pete.
I love Texas Pete. We have a say in our family that it's not complete till you add a little Pete.
Oh my gracious! So just for those of you that are joining to the podcast, we just try to spend some time talking about a subject that one or neither of us really know anything about.
And so the point, if you're a new listener, one, we're glad you're here. Thank you for being here. And we just try not to kill the conversation by looking something up immediately.
Right. I'm not going to fact check Cecil when he says something obscure or irrelevant, and he's not going to fact check me if I say something bizarre and somewhat.
But we are going to
untrue.
say that don't sound right. So I've only read the headline of what you've told me about. I've done no research on this.
Well, that's fine. It was in the newspaper today,
right.
Actually. And funny thing about the newspaper is, I still get the newspaper.
So do I.
You still get the newspaper?
Yes.
Yeah, I think
we're the only two.
I think our daughters will point out that's another thing we have in common that's a little eerie.
Right.
But you know how we started. I never got the newspaper. I wasn't. I was not planning on getting the newspaper.
Right.
When Bunny and I were engaged, we decided to kind of write down a list of things we thought the other person would be surprised about us.
Right.
And one of the things she wrote down was she wanted the newspaper delivered to her house.
Huh.
She wanted it at the end of her driveway every morning.
Did she grow up getting the newspaper?
Yeah, she did.
Okay.
And so here we are.
Right.
24 years later.
And it comes to your house this morning, and on the front page is Texas Pete.
Is getting sued.
Really?
Yes.
Who would sue Texas Pete?
Well, there's this. So there's this thing. There's this person out in California, and evidently in California, the bar is pretty low to what constitutes a frivolous lawsuit. And so this guy is calling a class action lawsuit against Texas Pete
for
making a hot sauce that isn't from Texas. So if you don't know, Texas Pete is actually made here in Winston-Salem, North Carolina.
Yes.
When I used to, it's over, it's on Indiana Avenue.
Yes, the plant.
Right. And I used to work over at the airport. And so I had to drive by Texas Pete every morning and every evening. And when the wind was just right, it smelled spicy and good.
You could smell Texas Pete.
So anyway, so the guy said in the lawsuit that he would have paid significantly less than $3 a bottle.
If he had known it was not from Texas?
If he had known it wasn't from Texas.
Who in America still thinks that Texas Pete's from Texas?
Second of all, he also claims that there are plenty of companies who make hot sauce from Texas.
Right.
And they have suffered and lost business to the name Texas Pete.
Wow.
And it's false advertising.
Huh. I did not know that's what the lawsuit was about. I can't believe that would be allowed to go forward.
It's evidently, well, that's the thing. I said, the bar is kind of low. And it kind of ticks me off. It kind of ticks me off.
Well, I think
I'm already on the edge of not buying California wines, and so I think I'm there.
I would think it'd be a giveaway when you look on the bottle and it says "Made in Winston-Salem."
Well, I guess it's the fine print.
It's not even. Yeah, it's right there. It's pretty obvious.
Do you think maybe he just did an Amazon order of Texas Pete?
Yeah, maybe just assumed.
Yeah, I don't understand. Well, this isn't the first lawsuit like this to go down.
Really?
Yeah. And they're all from California. There were 3 against our other home company, Krispy Kreme.
3 lawsuits?
3 lawsuits.
What can you
Class
find?
action lawsuits against Krispy Kreme.
What did they do?
Well, the first thing they did is they had raspberry-filled donuts.
Okay.
And evidently,
Which I've had and enjoyed.
Yes. And did you buy them for their antioxidant value?
I buy nothing at Krispy Kreme for any
Did
value.
you buy the raspberry donut to get more vitamin C in your diet?
I did not.
Did you buy it to hopefully fight cancer with the strength
No.
of that power?
I was
fruit?
hoping it would not give me cancer.
Yeah, well,
Right.
that's why they're suing them, because it's
Okay.
not made with real raspberries.
Right.
And so they felt, well, I would have paid significantly less than $1.09 a donut
Had
known it wasn't real raspberries.
it wasn't fighting cancer.
Right.
So they bought the donut with the hope that the antioxidants would
Yes.
save them from
That
cancer.
somehow that the vitamin C and the fruit would
Right.
offset the fried cake and yeast products.
Yes. Right.
So the other part
So
of
that
the
was the
lawsuit,
first one.
That was the other part of the lawsuit was the maple glazed donut, not made with real maple syrup or
Right.
real maple.
Yeah.
And
Which I
there's-
assume it's not.
There's some health benefits evidently to maple syrup,
Real maple syrup.
I suppose.
So
So
those-
that was the other part of the same lawsuit.
All this don't sound right.
Right. Next lawsuit
Uh,
was that they were suing Krispy Kreme over the apple fritters, the apple fritter donut,
why?
because there was a misprint on how many calories and how much sugar was in the donut.
I would say it would always be a lot.
It'd be a
if they
lot
misprint.
more. It would be a lot more than the regular donut.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, there was a misprint,
Uh-huh.
at least at the store.
Right.
On the website, it was cleared up.
Huh.
So far, both those lawsuits were dropped.
I would hope so.
They were dropped. And then
Right.
there's the third one, which was actually a repeat of the first one.
Of the
Different
raspberry
person.
one? Different, right.
Yeah, fruit flavor.
Well,
fruit
you know,
flavored
there's
donuts.
nothing new under the sun, because back in the 80s, I remember people would get mad because there would be no cherries in the cherry pie at McDonald's. And so they have these exposés where the news would open up a cherry
Really?
pie.
There's not any cherries in the cherry.
They would open up, and there might be one cherry or no cherries. It'd just be all
Really?
yeah. And so they
That
would
don't sound. Are you
they
sure?
would they would do the exposé, and then they would open up the
Pretty
apple
sure I've had one
pie.
of those apple pies, and there's chunks. Maybe
There had chunks of apple
Okay.
in there, but yeah, sometimes they would open up the cherry pies and there would be no cherry.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's nothing
There's
new under the
nothing
sun.
new, right? That's right.
Yeah.
So so it just goes back. I'm just kind of ticked off about this whole thing.
We know my
Because think about it this way, Cecil. So we have to, our hometown companies have to hire lawyers
right.
to defend themselves against these clowns
Right.
in California
Right.
who can think they can just sue for any old reason. So what does that do to the price of our $1.09 donut?
It makes it go up.
It's about $1.39 now.
That's right. Good luck, Texas Pete.
Yeah, well, I'm pulling for you. I'm just gonna have to buy a big old jug of it or something.
Yeah.
Now you have a connection.
We do.
To
I was
Texas
saying.
Pete
I actually
in
have
your
two
family.
connections to Texas Pete.
Let's hear about them.
So when I wrote a letter, which I still have a copy of, 20 years ago, to give them the slogan, "It's just not complete till you add a little Pete." And so I sealed the letter up in case they ever used it, so I could prove that I had the idea first. But the bigger connection is my daughter auditioned for a Texas Pete commercial.
No kidding.
Yeah.
So Sophie, so tell us a little bit about this story about your connection to Texas Pete. Now, remember, it's not me. I'm from Annapolis.
Right.
This is Texas Pete, the hot sauce here in Winston-Salem,
In Winston-Salem.
which is not in Texas. So
Correct.
the lawsuit says. So tell us what's going on.
I feel like it's probably the most Winston-Salem thing I've ever done. Is
Okay, all
an
right.
interview for a Texas Pete commercial.
All right.
I guess I was in middle school or early high school, but
Okay.
it was during my theater days.
Ah, okay.
And
all right.
I was really convinced. So it was when I was doing like musical theater and a glee club. And someone found out about this opportunity that you could audition for a
okay.
Texas Pete
All right.
commercial.
All right.
So me and a group of my friends that all did theater together, we went to this. It was behind where the news station is here.
Okay.
In one of those like brick buildings in the back. That's where it was, and we like waited in line for a long time.
Was the line wrapped around the building a couple
Oh,
times?
I
And
really-
all these hopeful teenagers to get on the commercial?
I can't remember. The only two things that I remember, well, like the three things I remember. One was that they wanted it to be like a family commercial, so they sent me and one of my guy friends in with me because we looked like brother and sister.
Okay.
And so we were trying to convince the auditioners or the panel that we were brother and sister, and so we could like pull off that we were family.
Okay, all right.
Second thing.
So they didn't know you were brother and sister.
No, yeah, we were trying to like convince them that we could like seem like brother and sister for a commercial because we were actors.
Sure.
Then I remember that you had to. It was like encouraged or not. It was a bonus if you could ride a bike. Like I think they wanted people that can ride a bike.
Now I can understand a bonus if you could ride a unicycle, but you just had to ride a bike.
You just had to be able to ride a bike.
And we're good with bikes.
Yes.
Okay.
I was clear on riding the bike.
All right.
And I remember us going in for the audition. I don't remember anything we did, but my other friends that went in for a separate group, they had to sing happy birthday for them.
Oh.
Needless to say, I did not get the commercial. And I also just want to go on the record and say I've never seen a Texas Pete commercial. So it feels a little bit like...
Well, yeah, did we ever see that?
I've never seen a Texas Pete commercial. But apparently it got cast.
It got
That's
cast.
what I heard.
They must have filmed it. I wonder if it... Oh,
so maybe I should move to California and I should sue Texas Pete that I didn't get the commercial.
Now, we're not suing Texas Pete, Sophie. It's our hometown brand. Now, if it was a Hollywood studio that came and interviewed you and they never picked you or they never aired the commercial, let's sue them.
All right. I think my auditioning days for commercials are over, but if anything happens in that really specific category, I'll let you know.
Well, I tell you what, this podcast is growing in popularity. Someone might be listening to it and say, we need to get that Sophie back on the line.
Whoever's listening, I can ride a bike. You need that for your commercial.
Hi, I'm Camille Davis. I'm introducing the words of wisdom.
Hey, Camille.
Hey, Camille.
Hello.
Thanks for doing that. It's the school nights. You got to go hop in bed.
Yep.
I love you.
Love you.
So for tonight's words of wisdom, I think we should hear from the attorneys. Krispy Kreme's attorneys.
Yeah, Krispy Kreme's had some very wise things to say. And probably the best takeaway from this whole episode is that one should not expect a donut to deliver the same level as antioxidants, for example, as green tea.
Well done, Krispy Kreme attorneys.
I'm happy to report that all three of those lawsuits were eventually dropped.
I'm glad.
Or settled in some kind of way. It still irks my soul.
Right. Well, it's like somebody suing, because there's not really a Mr. Coffee.
Have you heard this?
I actually stole that from a comedian.
Okay. Some things wouldn't surprise me these days.
Yeah. Well, so this hits pretty close to home to me, obviously.
Yes, between your saying in the letter that you wrote.
Yes.
Sophie's audition for a Top Spot commercial that we never saw. We might have to go look on the YouTube and see if we can find this commercial.
So I've seen one Texas Pete commercial, and it was a print. Well, I've seen print commercials. I don't think I've ever seen a TV commercial.
Do you think that she was auditioning for a print commercial?
I don't know.
Okay.
But I remember a family-oriented print commercial where they had like all the different family members there.
That might have been it.
Yeah.
Okay, that might have been it.
Now, if any of my college chums are listening, there's at least a few of you who now eat Texas Pete because of me. You would see me every single day in Marshbank's cafeteria, grab a bottle of Texas Pete and go to the table with it.
What would you put it on?
I would put it on everything on that tray.
So it's kind of like your ketchup.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. No,
I mean, Texas Pete to me is one of the best balanced hot sauces out there.
Yeah, it's, at the end of the day, well, this might be another word my family would say.
Right.
The words of wisdom would be, don't let Dad put the spice in the chili.
Right.
Because Texas Pete, I find, isn't really that.
It's not hot.
Spicy. It's not hot. It doesn't burn.
It's a great sauce.
It's a good flavoring.
Yeah, and that's why I like it. But I've noticed something strange about Texas Pete over the years. So there's another hot sauce out there that to me tastes more like Texas Pete used to taste.
Really?
Than Texas Pete tastes now.
What is it?
I might get sued for saying this. It's Frank's hot sauce.
Oh, really? You think?
Frank's hot sauce.
Have they dialed back Texas Pete, you think?
I don't know. Like, if you remember, like even today when we were eating lunch, and the Texas Pete bottles were on the table,
yeah,
they weren't gunked up.
Right.
But used to, if you had a Texas Pete bottle that sat on the restaurant table like that, it would be real gunked up.
So you think they changed the recipe?
I think I would be.
You think there's some anti-gunking?
I think there's some
qualities to
anti-gunking. I mean, used to, if there was a Texas Pete bottle on a restaurant table,
Yeah,
it was just
Yeah,
gunked up at the top.
the opening's very small to begin with.
Yeah.
And then little by little, it would start
Yeah,
shrinking
but
down.
when have you
So
seen
to shake the fire out of it?
When have you seen a bottle like that recently?
Well, I have a bottle at my house, and the opening is bigger.
Right, so something's changed. I think the xanthan gum or something content has changed.
Come on.
And Frank's is
There's no
more like
way
the
they would
original.
do that. They would not do that.
Coca-Cola did it.
There's just, look what they did. Look what happened to them. Come on.
So I'm just saying, it doesn't seem like the Pete of my youth.
Maybe your taste buds have changed, Cecil.
Maybe I should sue.
No, we don't do that.
We do not do that.
we don't drink California wine either. And I'll point out there's a grape.
We have to have a whole nother podcast on this. I don't know why you have a thing about California wine.
After reading all these articles about Californians suing our North Carolina hometown companies. Because of they think they're going to get, they're going to save their lives by eating fried cakes.
Right.
I don't.
I got you. So you're just boycotting California.
I'm just a little irritated right now.
Well, it doesn't sound right, Peter.
What's that?
But we've come to the end of another.
Okay,
Unless you had a following comment.
No, we're gonna. Before I get into my grumpy old man rant, you better call it. You better call the show.
We have come to the end of another that don't sound right.
Hey, maybe the listeners are thanking us for ending the show now, but we definitely want to thank you, the listeners, for being part of our conversation. It doesn't escape us that you put on your earbuds or you connect your phone to your car and you listen to us talk every week. And we really appreciate it.
We do appreciate it. So That Don't Sound Right is a production of TDSR Podcast in conjunction with Camel City Studios. We want to thank our chief sound engineer and bottle washer. That'd be Cecil Davis.
Thanks, Cecil.
Our chief web designer is J. Peter Billman.
I'm here to help.
Our chief graphics designer is Emily Billman.
Hey, Emily, we miss you.
Brand ambassador is Brent.
Way to go, Brent.
And as always, listener number one is Scott. So until next Saturday night, keep talking.
And stay curious.